Okay, so in this lesson I'm going to look at proving trigonometric identity number 8, which is one of the 9 identities in our course we need to prove. You need to know identity number 7, which says the sine of the sum of two angles is equal to sine of the first times cosine of the second plus cosine of the first times sine of the second. You also need to know how to find the cosine and sine of negative angles. The cosine of any negative angle is equal to the cosine of the positive of that angle. The sine of any negative angle is negative the sine of the angle. Okay? I suppose just thinking about that. So cosine of negative 45 would equal to cosine of 45. Sine of negative 45 would be the negative of sine of 45. And I'm going to use that to prove this identity number 8, which is the sine of difference between two angles identity. So I'm going to start by just rewriting identity number 7, which says the sine of a first angle plus a second angle is equal to sine of the first times cosine of the second plus the cosine of the first times the sine of the second. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to use a substitution here. I'm going to let the first angle be A and the second angle be equal to negative B. Okay, and I'm going to plug those things in here. So using identity number 7, we're going to say therefore the sine of the first angle, which we're saying is A, plus the sine of the second angle, which we're saying is negative B. Well, that will equal to the sine of the first angle, which is A, times the cosine of the second angle, which we're saying is negative B, plus the cosine of the first angle, which is A, times sine of the second angle, which is negative B. Tidying up here, well, A added to negative B, well, that's just the same as A subtract B. Here we have sine A cosine of negative B, and we know that cosine of negative B is equal to cosine of B. Plus cosine of A times the sine of negative B is just the negative of sine of B. Okay. And then we're just about finished. So we have the sine of A subtract B is equal to, the first term is fine, I'm going to leave it alone, sine A cosine B. And then we've got this positive times a negative, giving me a negative. And then it's cosine A times sine B. And that is identity number 8, and that is how we prove it. Okay, you need to know the proof. The proof of it is based around understanding identity number 7 and understanding about cosines of negative angles and sines of negative angles. Okay, remember the substitution and you can't really ever go wrong. So practice, practice, practice. You got to understand it and learn it by heart.